During the King of the Ring qualifier for SmackDown, I saw Bron Breakker do a move that he's done many times before. From the apron, diving onto the announce table, clotheslining his opponents. This time, however, though, he stayed down for about 5 minutes straight, allowing Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio to go on with the match, allowing Dominic to win it by the end of it. Now, this was really a match that Bron Breakker needed to win, but if I press pause at this moment and I think back a week before this guy literally lost to Seth Rollins a week after defeating him at Backlash. And then I said, hold on a minute, what the hell is going on with Bron Breakker? And in today's video, let us go over the decline and the destruction and the complete jobification of the once promising badass Bron Breakker. Before the heels advocate pops a vein from anger, hit the people's elbow on the like button and subscribe if you haven't already with the bell notification turned on. And with that being said, it seems the heels advocate has to make this video. Now, my brothers and my sisters, when you look at the WWE from 2025, last year, right? The channel is officially 1 year old now. Last year, what was the heels advocate saying? I was saying the entire main roster is filled with a bunch of old dudes, right? Everybody's over 40. Some of these guys were damn near 50, and a year before that, the main event at WrestleMania was headlined by The Rock, and he's 52 at that time, right? So I was thinking to myself, where the hell are these young guys, man? Because we were literally hanging on to 5 guys. Randy Orton, Cena, Punk, Brock Lesnar, and then if you want to throw in, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, right? So like they were also over 40 years old. So I'm thinking to myself, where the hell is a new class? And at WrestleMania 41, there was the one guy we all like to talk about, right? Bron Breakker, the only guy under the age of 30 at the time that kind of had some promising future. Now, it was also at that WrestleMania that he lost his Intercontinental title. So, let us talk about that, right? What really happened to him? Because he was one of the most dominating, I don't want that's a joke, right? The guy literally lost clean to Jey Uso. But what really happened during his main roster debut, to him getting the IC title, to him losing it at WrestleMania 41, and now we're much past WrestleMania 42. We're damn near closing in on WrestleMania 43 build-up. And it's like, all right, where the hell did it all go? So let's start from the beginning. So it's 2024. This guy gets called up from NXT. I don't watch NXT. I was barely watching WWE at the time, let alone NXT. I only tuned in because The Rock came back. So he is now on the main roster and immediately is booked like an absolute dominant force on SmackDown. Then he went to Raw. Then the official first feud began with Sami Zayn, aka the Hairy Lollipop. So he goes ahead and he loses against him at Money in the Bank. But of course, he has to then turn it around and win at SummerSlam. Now, that already was the first problem. Why the hell did he not win the first match, right? Why couldn't he win at Money in the Bank? Why is Sami Zayn this guy that couldn't win immediately? That he couldn't beat immediately. And why did he have to wait at SummerSlam? Now, I get it, right? Sami Zayn basically just came off of defeating Gunther at WrestleMania, ending his 2-year streak, and he was kind of booked like this Rocky type of guy, right? Like kind of like powered up against the big bad, Russian anti-hero type of guy. And he defeated him, ended his streak, and okay, whatever. But it's like, all right, now isn't the time to reestablish Sami Zayn as the very dominant IC champion. That could have been the moment where you alleviate Sami Zayn from his duties as IC champion. You alleviate Sami Zayn from having him be this Gunther career streak ender and allow the IC title space to open up, right? Because after the IC title, Gunther never went back to the main to the mid card. So why did Sami Zayn still hold on, right? If he eventually was supposed to lose at SummerSlam anyway, why did he hold on to it? So that already is the first problem. His first big match, he loses. And yeah, that's basically the returning theme of Bron Breakker. Then he becomes Intercontinental champion at SummerSlam, and he is this next big thing type of guy, right? He finally is there. He finally arrived. You know what I'm saying? He had a little stutter step, but he's finally there. Now, also in that same year, he loses clean to Jey Uso, right? He loses clean to Jey Uso. And now allow me to ask you guys this question here. In what world do we allow somebody that's supposed to be the next big thing to lose 2 times back to back against somebody that they would end up beating anyway? So what's the point? What's the point? Right? Like, for example, we don't see Obafemi over here losing, you know what I'm saying, to like mid-card people and then beating them afterwards. No, his first big match against Brock Lesnar, he defeated him. He squashed him. So that is the way that you're supposed to go ahead and build up a new big star. But Bron Breakker, on the other hand, like he's always supposed to be this guy that we want to say, yeah, he is athletic. He is this guy that definitely has a future. But right now, in this current moment, let him first eat a loss and then we can talk about him later. But no, there is no later. Like, what is the later for? So that Sami Zayn can get a victory in first, so that Jey Uso can get a victory in first, so that, Bron Breakker can go ahead and then hold on to the title so that Dominic Mysterio can win it and hold on to it for 1 year straight. No, so I don't get what the point is, right? That main roster debut has been a disaster from the beginning. And so, like I said, late 2024, I believe it was September or something like that, or like October or whatever, right? Jey Uso wrestles against Bron Breakker. And like, look, I don't think it's a bad thing that Jey Uso won the title. At that time, Jey Uso started to become his own man. And I see why they did it. But the problem becomes, in hindsight, what happened afterwards. Jey Uso literally holds the title for about maybe a month and a half, 2 months. And then Bron Breakker wins it back. But let's talk about that feud real quick, okay? Bron Breakker versus Jey Uso, the first match where he lost the title, that was a clean match. Jey Uso went in and he whooped on him, bro. He literally beat him down. Bron is on the outside trying to do his running spear. He gets kicked in the face, dragged inside, Superman punch, squash, boom, 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 splash, 1, 2, 3, it's over, right? That was the match. And so months and months go by, maybe 2 months, and then finally he has a rematch. In that rematch, you would expect Bron Breakker to win clean and get his revenge. But no, what happens, the way Bron Breakker gets his title back is because Jacob Fatu and the MFTs and everybody like that start to get involved in the match and tackle and beat down on Jey Uso. That is the way Bron Breakker got his title back. So he loses his clean and then he wins it back dirty without looking strong against Jey Uso. So what does that say to us, subconsciously? It says, oh yeah, if they were to have another rematch, then Jey Uso is still better than Bron Breakker. So Bron Breakker is a secondary champion, right? If they were to have a hierarchy of IC champions, Bron Breakker would be coming in at number 2. And that is not the way you build up a next star, right? I think he's about to be down near 30 now. He's definitely going to be pushing 30 in a year and a half or so. So it's what are we doing with this guy? You know what I'm saying? What are we going to do with this guy? You have him lose to Jey Uso clean. The only way he gets a title back is by cheating. And then he has a title from whatever the hell it was, October, November, up until WrestleMania. And he holds a title clean and warm, basically for Dominic Mysterio to win it off of him at WrestleMania. Now, just like it happened to Jey Uso, just like it happened to Gunther, and just like it happened to Sami Zayn, the people that lost the IC title, they move on to bigger and better things. And that seemed to be the trajectory that Bron Breakker was on. But after he lost the title, division became a thing and Bron Breakker became a nothing. So now we have to take a closer look at his run on the main roster with The Vision. We all know how the heels advocate feels about The Vision. I've already made many videos talking about him where I'm just basically burying it, right? It's literally the worst faction of all time. It's literally the worst arc of Seth Rollins' career, and it's definitely the worst arc of Bron Breakker's career. And the only thing that really came out of it as a positive was Big Back Bronson Reed's introduction into the group and kind of this main event. I mean, I don't want to say main event, but main event for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, right? That introduction to him was basically there, right? So definitely that elevated Bronson Reed, but for Bron Breakker and Rollins, it definitely did not do anything that important. Now, why is that the case? Now, basically, after the whole ending of WrestleMania 41, where Paul Heyman betrayed CM Punk and Roman Reigns, he goes ahead and joins up with Seth Rollins. He follows Seth Rollins' lead, and he is now Seth Rollins' advocate. Now, that is supposed to be the dynamic, right? The original dynamic is that Seth Rollins, he makes the moves, Paul Heyman, he makes it happen, and the lackeys, Bron Breakker and Reed, they follow along. That is supposed to be the dynamic, but suddenly when basically Seth Rollins fake injured his knee, the dynamic kind of shifted. It kind of felt like it was now the Paul Heyman group. It felt like Paul Heyman was the face of the division instead of being the glue, right? Instead of being like, oh yeah, Seth Rollins moves we follow, or when Rollins was injured, when Bron Breakker moves we follow. No, it then became, hey Paul, can we do this? Hey Paul, can we do that? Hey Paul, how about this? No, Paul Heyman is not a leader. Paul Heyman is just a lackey that makes things happen in kayfabe. So in kayfabe, why would Bron Breakker care that much, right? It's like Bron Breakker, he set his sights on the World Heavyweight Championship, and Bron Breakker went ahead and he tried to qualify for the King of the Ring, or, the gauntlet matches for SummerSlam and all that stuff. But basically, nothing came of it, right? He came up short, he lost. And then Paul Heyman's suggestion was like, oh yeah, no, wait. You have to wait, you have to wait, you have to wait. And I don't really see why, right? I don't see why he had to wait to go after the champion again, or the championships again. So it really was weird. But before we get to that point, which was later in like 2025, let's roll it back a little bit to the point where Seth Rollins fake injured his knee. When Seth Rollins fake injured his knee and he went away for about a few weeks, it wasn't like, obviously now in hindsight, like it looked like the division was not aware that he was faking the knee injury, right? And so basically on Monday Night Raws that followed the absence of Seth Rollins, we had Bron Breakker to come out on backstage segments that said, yeah, I am now the leader of the division. That already is one problem that was not addressed, okay? Bron Breakker, he comes out and he literally says, I am now the leader of the division. And so the weeks that, were there without Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker was the leader of the division, right? That's what he said to Paul Heyman. That's what he said to the cameras. And then as soon as Seth Rollins makes his return to the club, Bron Breakker just steps aside. What happened? I thought you were the leader. Now, had he said, I am the leader in the absence of Seth Rollins, that is a different tone, right? But he made it seem that, okay, now that Rollins is gone, I'm going to step up. I'm now the leader. And so when Rollins comes back, without any fighting, without any explanation, you take an automatic step back. Now, I get it, right? It kind of makes sense that you do that. But when you say, I am the leader, there cannot be two leaders, right? We have to talk about it. And there was not a talk where they explicitly said and they figured out a way to allow Rollins to be back as the main guy. Had it just been one segment and said, all right, hey, Bron, I'm back. All right, so, Seth, I'm happy that you're back. You're like a father figure to me. I'll happily see where you will take the vision to, and we'll go from there. No, there was none of that. He was just automatically back to being a lackey, and that really hurt him more, right? It looked like he finally had the main roster position that he wanted as a leader of a faction on the main roster. I mean, like, I don't want to say main roster, on the main event level of SmackDown and Raw. And he immediately takes the first step backwards when Rollins comes back. Now, I get it. Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank, and Rollins goes ahead and, beats CM Punk after he defeated Gunther at SummerSlam, and he's now the World Heavyweight Champion. So obviously the World Heavyweight Champion is going to be the main guy on Raw. But even before that, right, even when Rollins was gone, both Big Bad Greed and Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman, they were holding on to the freaking Money in the Bank like a lackey, bro. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Just a visual alone, that really hurts his character. Like, he's supposed to be a badass, right? He's supposed to be this future star, the next big thing, but he's over here being a lackey holding freaking briefcases? And that is the ultimate disrespect, right? When Obafemi gets called up to the main roster, he has a match on the last time is now PLE, where Cena retired, against Cody Rhodes. He literally has a match against him. And, you know what I'm saying, before you know it, he's over here beating Brock Lesnar. And over here now, Bron Breakker, he went from being IC champion to now holding a briefcase. You know what I'm saying? And the vision was never really clear. Like, as a faction, the vision never really established what their vision was. Right? Oh yeah, it is Seth Rollins' vision. Okay, cool, but like, it's Seth Rollins' vision, I'm gonna win the World Heavyweight Championship and Bron Breakker's gonna hold my Money in the Bank? No, like, you know what I mean? Like, let it be something at least a little bit more interesting. Maybe Bron Breakker go get your IC title back, or Bron Breakker will help you go ahead and beat Judgment Day's Dominic Mysterio, right? Because Dominic Mysterio has plot armor, right? He had a bunch of people always around him that helped him retain. And so now with the vision, Bron Breakker can go out there and create a long and interesting storyline against Dominic, and that could have ended up with him regaining that title, and that could have served him. But no, he loses the title to Dominic, and then he just lets it be as if like he's got something better to be, right? No, you don't have anything better to be, bro. Like, you're just now a lackey, bro. You were at least a mid-card champion, now you're in nothing. So this maintains its course for as long as Seth Rollins was the World Heavyweight Champion for up until Crown Jewel in Perth or something like that back in like September or October, where he definitely ended up breaking or hurting his elbow, and that was the end of Seth Rollins, right? The end of Seth Rollins basically was the vision turning on him suddenly one day, right? And Bron Breakker hits him with a spear. Big Bad Greed hits him with a tsunami, and that causes Seth Rollins to be out of action for about, 5, 6, 7 months, bro? Come on. You know what I'm saying? Even in kayfabe, that beatdown shouldn't have resulted in Rollins losing his title or being gone for that long, right? And also, the way Rollins lost his title was so weird, right? He didn't even come to Monday Night Raw to announce that he relinquishes or whatever. No, like in kayfabe, they try to play it off as, oh yeah, no, Bron Breakker and the Vision turned on me. But like, I don't get why they would do that. You know, why would you have to do that? Rollins could come out and definitely announce, hey, look, I'm now injured and I'm gonna, relinquish the title. And then he should have been pointing at Bron Breakker and said, Bron, I'm injured, but now you're the next guy in line. You've been waiting for this shot for a very long time. Now I'm here ready to give it to you. And then Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce can come out and say, oh, no. You just can't give it to him. He's got to earn it. And then we can establish like a tournament, which ended up, being what it was at that time as well. Like there was a tournament, which Bron Breakker ended up losing. Now we could still do that in this hypothetical scenario because there's no way Bron Breakker was going to main event any of the Manias. So we could have ended up having the same outcomes, right? We could have had him lose to, Jey Uso or CM Punk or whatever the hell it was, right? And we could have maintained Rollins's presence on Monday Night Raw, whether it be weekly or through Paul Heyman or through emails or whatever the hell it was. We could have allowed Rollins to be there and try and work his magic, right? The fact is, Bron Breakker also ended up getting injured shortly after that as well, but not before losing to CM Punk at the Raw Netflix debut on January 1st or 2nd of 2026, and that was a final nail in the coffin. Now, so it is the Raw Netflix debut anniversary against CM Punk on the Stranger Things episode of Monday Night Raw, and he ended up losing that match. Now, like I said, there was no way that Bron Breakker was going to go into Mania as a world champion, so definitely the situation did not allow for Bron Breakker to come out looking important, right? There was just not a way for him to have a match against Seth Rollins because he was injured, right? Seth Rollins could have found a way to lose the title, and Bron Breakker and him could have had a falling out, and they could have had a match at WrestleMania, and it would have been better, right? But nonetheless, he goes ahead, he loses clean to CM Punk, and then shortly after that, he then gets injured himself, right? So in the Vision, now we had a bunch of problems. We had the lackey, aka Austin Theory, join up in a really, really weird way, week after week, coming out with freaking like masks and everything like that. It was just like absurd, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the whole Vision thing with Austin Theory and the masked people, that was so absurd. But anyways, that's besides the point. Rollins was gone. Breaker was now gone as well. Big Bad Greed gets injured as well, and then the Vision turns into just two guys. Logan Paul, who just randomly joins as well, and Austin Theory. So now this officially has become a Paul Heyman faction. There's no more division, and then we have WrestleMania, we go in and out, and Bron Breakker obviously returned at WrestleMania as well to cost Seth Rollins the match, and we then reignited that whole feud. We go out of WrestleMania, we go into Backlash, they finally have their match, and they settle the score. Now, I'm finally happy that it's all over and done with. I'm happy that Bron Breakker got over on Seth Rollins clean, but the dynamic had completely shifted, right? The dynamic should have been Seth Rollins is an unlikable heel. Bron Breakker was a heel, but by turning on Seth Rollins, he then becomes a babyface, and he then becomes the savior of the terror of freaking Seth Rollins, right? So that allowed him to then become the favorite in our eyes. But now the dynamic had changed. Seth Rollins was gone for a long time. Bron Breakker betrayed him. Bron Breakker remains the actual heel. And now Seth Rollins is the babyface. And so how the hell can you have a heel go over on the babyface clean and move on with his career. There's just not a possibility. So even in that victory, the right thing that should have happened, but the circumstances didn't allow for the right thing to be to allow for the right outcome to be had. And that right outcome then was gone. And by it being gone, we were then forced with this. A month later, basically a month later after Backlash, Seth Rollins defeats Bron Breakker clean on Monday Night Raw. Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you kidding me? He beats him clean. So like, what's the point of him losing at Backlash, bro? You know what I mean? It's just like the forever, never ending, oh yeah, Bron Breakker, you're up next, but not really. First, you have to lose. First, it has to drag on. Then we will give you that minuscule push. But by the time that we give you the push, we'll have set you back. And that push will only be putting you back to where you were at the beginning. Bron Breakker's stock is at the lowest it's ever been. You know what I'm saying? The same week on SmackDown, there's like this King of the Ring tournament, like I said at the beginning of the video. And he's over here losing it because he did the same move he's always done and he stays laying down. Bron Breakker should have won that qualifier match. It should have been Bron Breakker versus Obafemi. I don't even think Obafemi should have been in the King of the Ring tournament because he's already had his match set up with Brock Lesnar. Why does he have to be in the King of the Ring? I mean, like, Oba, you've got bigger fish to fry, bro. So what? Like, you're gonna win the Money in the Bank, and I mean, like a King of the Ring, and then wrestle against Brock Lesnar? No, right? Probably not. So why are you even in the tournament? Just to lose? You know what I'm saying? You're just holding up another guy's spot that he could use, right? So I'm sick and tired of this, right? Bron Breakker didn't win. Femi is in it for no reason. Now Bron Breakker is what is he gonna do? He lost to Rollins. He lost the King of the Ring qualifier. He's got no future prospects. The best thing that he could hope for is the Money in the Bank. But it's like, damn, bro. Damn. You want to win the Money in the Bank? You could have won the Money in the Bank in 2024 when you debuted. You could have won it in 2025 after you lost your IC title to Dominic. You know what I'm saying? But now you're like over here looking at that as your best prospect when we have other people that we would love to see become Money in the Bank champions like LA Knight. You know, it's like, what are we doing with this guy, bro? It's officially over. The vision is completely cooked as well. You know, now Logan Paul is injured. Like, damn, bro. It's not the vision, it's the freaking injury, bro. You know what I'm saying? Logan Paul injured, Bronson Reed injured, Seth Rollins injured, Bron Breakker injured. I don't know what you have to do with the vision, but you have to end it as soon as possible. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the vision was supposed to be a group led by Rollins, then by Rollins getting betrayed by Bron Breakker, now Bron Breakker being head of the vision. It should have been Bron Breakker leading the vision, but now, no, it's just the Paul Heyman group, bro. Paul Heyman is always talking for everybody. It's over, bro. You know what I'm saying? No, like, Bron should have just slapped him around right away. But no, we're over here waiting week after week for something good to happen to Bron Breakker, but everything that they planned for him has failed. And why has it failed? Because they didn't pull the trigger enough, right? If you wait for the right opportunity long enough, the right opportunity will never come. And that is the problem of Bron Breakker. And it seems the heel's advocate had to make this video.